Hello, everybody. We are officially live and we are starting on time, which is not a normal thing that happens during virtual events. Couple housekeeping things. Yes, this is being recorded. Yes, you will get the recording. Do not worry. We will send this out. Hopefully you can stay for the full time, but if not, that's cool. Bounce when you need to, and we'll make sure you get the full thing. I'm Kyle. I lead the marketing team here at Copy.ai, and I'm very, very happy to be joined today by our co-founder and CTO, Chris Liu. Say hello, Chris.
Hey everyone, it's been a while. I'm really excited to share some of the stuff that we've been up to.
Nice. Okay, so we are going to go through a different way of thinking about artificial intelligence, specifically with how you can infuse it across your go-to-market engine in a way that really unifies and connects your go-to-market engine. There's so much out there about, well, AI for writing emails and AI for account planning and AI for content creation, and that's all great, but it has to be unified in order for it to be effective. And that's what we're really going to focus on starting in, I don't know, right now. Should we just jump in, Chris? Anything else to say before we go?
No, I think we're ready to go.
All right. So we'll talk to you a little bit more philosophically, and then we'll show you some of the secret sauce that's powering Copy AI and how you can do a lot of this inside of Copy AI. So let's start with the philosophy, and then we'll get into some of the cool things that we can do with our software. So that's the wrong thing. Here we go. So, how to create an AI powered go to market flywheel. The first thing that I think is really important to emphasize is you're going to hear something that I totally disagree with and I think is completely wrong. And you're going to hear over and over and over again, which is that the channels are dead. Outbound is dead. Cold calling is dead. Email is dead. SEO is dead. Everything is dead, according to all these experts. But that's not the truth. The truth is that all those channels are alive and well, but the old playbooks, that's what's dead. And what are the old playbooks? The old playbooks are plays that we scaled that are super inefficient and super ineffective. So, like cold messaging hundreds of thousands of people all at once and just hoping that your spray and pray tactics are going to work, or just dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into Google Ads and just hoping that something works. That is not sustainable. That is not the way that effective companies are growing anymore. And what that's led to is this big problem of go to market bloat. You have all of these different tools, you have all of these different processes, all these different people that are not necessarily unified, that are running strategies that are inefficient and ineffective. And so, what are people looking for? What are companies looking for when they're looking for AI? They are trying to go from this universe of go to market bloat to this new horizon of real go to market velocity, where all of the friction has been completely beaten out of the system and companies can run really efficiently and scale processes that actually work. And this to us is what we mean by a go to market AI strategy. It's a strategy that is both systematic as well as strategically infused across the entire go to market engine. Now, importantly, it's not just one point solution that's outbound or one point solution that's content creation. You have to think about the go to market engine as being interconnected and interwoven and dependent on other pillars of that process. So, what we're going to talk about today are how these three use cases, and this is three of many hundreds of use cases that you can power with AI, but how these three use cases that traditionally are pretty siloed, we're going to talk about how you can unify them in this flywheel sort of way. So the from slide is what you're looking at here with three independent boxes. The to slide, the journey we're going to take you on, is an interwoven flywheel. So let's talk about some best practices for each of these, and then we're going to talk about how it should all come together. So first, effective outbound prospecting is hard. And to do it well, it has to be at the intersection of all of these different areas. You have to really know the accounts that you're reaching out to, really understand the people inside of those accounts at a persona level and at a personal level to the extent you can. And of course, you have to really understand your value props and how you can connect the dots between all four of these independent things. When you can do this well, this is what unlocks high context, high resonance messaging. Now, the cool thing about AI workflows is that they can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. It's not to say that you're going to outsource your strategy. It's not going to say that you're going to outsource all the thinking to AI, but AI can do a lot of the research and do a lot of the dot connection in a way that you can have what you see on the left here is an AI workflow that's building an account plan. Where is this account what are they hiring for? What's going on in the most recent earnings calls, and what's relevant news that we can find across the web? What's happening in the industry? And then what the AI workflow is going to do is going to take your company's value prop and connect the dots so that you can see here is how we could potentially position Copy AI for what's happening inside of this account. In this case, it's launched darkly. And so it's this type of workflow that can be super automated, and you can run this for every single target account inside of your company. Now, importantly, it's not just getting this account plan out, because often when companies create an account plan, it just ends up in this black hole that nobody actually uses. It's in somebody's notes app on their iPhone, or it's in some Google Docs page or something like that. No one actually uses it. That's a major problem. So you have to make sure that if you're putting in the sweat equity to create these account plans and you've created all these beautiful AI workflows to do so, you need to make sure that that value is delivered in a place that people actually use. So make sure our recommendation is that these account plans exist inside of Salesforce so that, of course, you can do the outbound work on top of it, the emails, the cold calling, all the rest. But also, you can use that as the basis for account based marketing. A lot of what you need for account based marketing is the same thing that an SDR or salesperson needs for outbound. You need to understand the account, you need to understand the people, you need to understand your value props. But what you can now layer in for account based marketing is we need to double click into the industry. What is going on inside of the industry? What are the macro trends affecting that industry? We need to know so that we can create really high quality account based marketing assets for this company. The landing pages and the custom ads and the custom content, the events we do, the campaigns we run, we can create AI workflows that do all of this. So here's an example of how you saw this account plan that we created for Launch Darkly using the AI workflow. Now, here is a custom landing page that an AI workflow can create for us based on the information in the account plan that we designed and generated. And so now you're starting to see, okay, in the previous world, this outbound was pretty disconnected from anything else that we're doing inside the company. But now, because we're powered by AI, we have all this information that's centralized, maybe in our CRM. We're using this account information to inform our outbound efforts, and we're using the same information to inform our account based marketing efforts. And the nice thing about this is you avoid this, where your target audience, your buying group is getting hit across all these different channels, the ads they see, the campaigns that are running, the outbound emails they get. And more often than not, it's a different message and a different value prop across all those different channels. And you're missing the mark. But if you can unify the research, if you can unify the sales angles and use AI to do that unification, now you're going to be center of the bullseye, just hitting the same exact strategic initiatives that that company cares about across all the channels that they're seeing you on. And that's very, very valuable. So now let's move on to the third use case here, which is around deal management. To effectively run our deals, we still need to understand the strategic initiatives at that account. We need to know the people and how they're going to be involved in delivering those initiatives. But now, what AI is going to do is it's going to learn from all the call transcripts that are happening, the gong calls, the chorus calls, whatever call recorder you're using. We're going to create transcripts, and then the AI is going to help us understand what is going well and what isn't. Are we actually selling against the strategic initiatives that we identified in the research and that we served up in those ABM assets? If how is that landing? Were we wrong about the strategic initiatives that are most top of mind for that account, and how should we pivot? And so you start to see this is a transcript here on the left side of the screen. We run it through an AI workflow, and now we have an understanding of where are the deal gaps and what are potential strategies that we should pursue to close those gaps. We don't totally know the buying process. We haven't validated budget. Maybe we're not up high enough from a power standpoint. Okay, great. Now, instead of the sales rep being siloed and trying to close all of these gaps herself, now we can go back into this flywheel orientation and say, we now learned about what is happening inside of this account. We can use those learnings in our multi threading outbound to continue to run this deal. And we can use these learnings to create new ABM assets, the content that we need, the landing pages that we need, the ads we need, the messaging we need, the exact touch points we need, whatever it is that we actually need to run this deal effectively. And this is how it all comes together. So this has to be an always on sort of approach that you have that allows you to be really bespoke and really nuanced inside of every single account that you're selling into in order to create the right amount of surround sound that's actually going to help you create and close opportunities as a unified go to market organization. And that's what we can do now with AI. The old playbooks are dead. The old channels are still very much alive, but what we need to do is we need to author these new playbooks. We need to put in the time and energy that it takes to run this account-based, always on, full funnel approach to account-based selling, account-based go-to-market. We need to put in the effort to make all of that happen. And that's what we're so excited about is possible to do today. And if you're interested in a deeper dive on how you can do this with Copy AI, Jax, can you put the poll out right now? If you're interested in seeing how we're making this happen for our customers, like by all means, we'd love to chat with you. So just say yes to the poll and we'll be in touch and we'll get you that demo set up really quickly. If you want a super deep dive into all of these things, we wrote a book on it. So feel free to scan this little QR code and you can get free access to the ebook. It's available right now in PDF and online form. And then if you want a hard copy, we'll send you a hard copy for free for attending this event. So just fill out the form, put in your mailing address, and we'll make that happen. The really useful thing is that this is not just all smoke and mirrors. This is not just me selling watches in Times Square here. Like this is real and really affecting companies that are implementing Copy AI in this sort of unified way. So Doug is the CEO of Aviatrix, and from a pipeline generation standpoint, quadrupling the pipe gen per rep that they've been able to create because of the high quality research, the high quality of execution across their entire outbound and inbound engines. And then Gene from the CMO at Juniper is seeing something very similar where they've infused this really deep research and personalization into all of their marketing follow-ups. And they've gotten 5 times more meetings from across all their inbound channels because they're starting to be more unified and fuller funnel and across the whole buying group. So this type of stuff is not just, it's not tomorrow. It's not something that could happen next year. It's possible to do today. It's just a matter of putting in the time, energy, and effort to making it happen. So if you want, again, if you want to see Copy AI in action, feel free to say yes to the poll. If you want to download a copy of that book, you should have just got a little pop-up where you can go and download the copy of the book. I need a break from talking, Chris. So I want to see any other customer stories that come to mind for you. Anything that you like, you're very close to many of our customers. Anything really cool that you're seeing people do to really connect their go-to-market engine?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a few ways of thinking about this, and it starts from the data, right? So everyone wants to do more things. They want to create more articles. They want to send and engage with more customers. But the actual thing that they need to realize is that it actually starts by understanding who you want to reach out to. And Kyle and I, we just actually just spent a few days at a conference, and it was a great reminder to just go back to the basics, right? Any company that's trying to sell anything has a target customer, and there's some customers and some things about why that customer buys, right? And so, what we can help you do is understand who are the customers that you should sell to, that you are selling to. Why are they buying? And then from that, we can understand, oh, how do we identify more customers who are similar in that profile? Are they experiencing the same things? So, for example, here at Copy AI, we're talking to a lot of marketers, a lot of salespeople, and typically they want more revenue, right? And it's like, okay, well, let's try to understand why might they want more revenue or how might they do it? They might have multiple products, they might have multiple solutions, they might have a new product that's coming out. And those are the reasons why they would be looking for a solution like Copy AI. With all that information, we can now understand, oh, who is this company? Who are we selling to? And then we can connect the dots. Hey, you're looking to try to launch a new product. Copy AI can help you do that by optimizing your workflows, by streamlining it. So it's a really, really powerful thing once you have that data silo set up. And the other part of this is once you have the data strategy, then you want to build the repeatable processes. And that's what we call by codifying a workflow. So, for example, if you're trying to create a new landing page, you know the pieces of text that you need on a landing page, right? And we would be able to turn that so it's like you can take that account plan, that contact plan, and transform it into a custom landing page that can immediately go into your CMS or anywhere where you host your website.
It's really well said. And the thing that's been so exciting to me is seeing how people are thinking about the basics, as you said it, Chris. The basics have to be interconnected. And I think over the last few years, we've gotten, the industry, has gotten really obsessed with like a lot of hyper specialization, where we're going to bring on a person or we're going to bring on a point solution or we're going to create a process that's just to do one narrow thing. And the problem with that, you might get a lot of specialty in that. You might do that one thing really well. But the problem is that if it is not connected with the rest of the efforts that you have across the go-to-market engine, then it's not going to be nearly as effective as it otherwise could be. And so it's been amazing for me to see the way that customers are thinking about taking a lot of the information that they're able to create, and instead of just operationalizing it or executing it in one channel, now they're thinking about how can we make sure that all of this work that we're putting in is actually existing across all of the channels for where we're trying to meet our customers. And the really cool thing about this is let's keep talking about account planning, because account planning is really important. At the atomic level, creating one account plan is great. Like, okay, we know what's really useful, what's going on at this account, and we can sell against that strategic initiative. Wonderful. Creating account plans and having that POV on 1,000 accounts that you're trying to sell into is amazing, because then you can make sure, of course, all your salespeople, all your ABM marketers, everybody else can do the thing that we just talked about. But what's really cool is now you can have a workflow go and read those 1,000 account plans, and you can ask, what are the top 5 strategic initiatives that our target customers are pursuing? So what are the top 5 things that you're seeing across these 1,000 accounts? And then we can use those top 5 things to create campaigns that are maybe, abstracted up a little bit, but are going to be one to few or one to many type campaigns that we can do, that it's a perfect way to focus our marketing efforts. And so in the past, like, that's been a total shot in the dark for me as a marketing leader. I've been like, I don't know. I feel like we have this new product, so maybe we can go launch something here. But being able to connect to strategic initiatives inside of companies is extremely powerful at the individual account level and at the aggregate campaign level.
I love it. I know we've been talking a lot. Is it time to dive right into a demo, or should we do
Do
some
it. Yeah,
Q&A?
let's see how we make that happen.
What if we do a little bit of Q&A before, or should I just jump right in? Does anybody
Yeah,
have?
I haven't been watching the chat because I've been trying to not get distracted, but feel free if there's anything people are asking about.
Don't think there's too much, but if anybody does have any questions, now's the time to throw them in. Otherwise, I'm going to hop into the demo in about 10 seconds.
That might not be enough time for people to ask.
Okay, we'll do it afterwards then. We'll do it afterwards. I think a lot of these questions will make a little bit more sense once we do the demo.
Yeah, actually, Tom asked a good question about performance metrics. Like, how can we tell if the flywheel is spinning, and how do we make sure that it's continuously improving? Any thoughts on that, Chris? I certainly have some, but I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah, definitely. So, the goal of any sales and marketing activities is to drive revenue. So, the way you can do that, though, and identify whether or not something is driving revenue is by looking at leading and lagging indicators. So, leading indicators are ones that will actually be, they'll start showing results before you actually start generating revenue. Examples of this would be email sent, phone calls made, meetings booked. Those are all great leading indicators. If you don't have meetings booked, you're not going to be able to close revenue downstream, right? Lagging indicators would be the actual revenue generated. Oh, are we actually generating revenue? Are we generating revenue faster than we expected? And so for each of these use cases, there's different leading and different lagging indicators, and every business has to get very crisp about which ones they care about. So let me give you guys examples, right? For this webinar, it's actually a campaign, right? We're running it and we're trying to attract people who are interested in learning about how to use AI to generate this go-to-market flywheel. The leading indicator would be the number of attendees, the number of people who RSVP, the number of people who clicked onto the website, right? If that's very high and higher than our average, that means that campaign's resonating, that campaign's doing well. Now, a great lagging indicator, which we can't calculate now, but would be 3 months from now, would be, oh, how many of these meetings were actually booked from this event or from this campaign? And identifying those allows you to judge, hey, how well was this campaign run? The beautiful part about codifying your process means you actually simplify it. Hey, we're going to run a campaign. This campaign has this code. Now you can associate that code automatically throughout your CRM for every, email you send to invite people, for every, personal touch that you do to try and to attract them to come to the webinar, for LinkedIn posts, whatnot. You can actually monitor it all, and then you can actually get a sense of what the leading indicators are and what the lagging indicators are. And then you can start comparing campaign to campaign. So suddenly, when you start testing more, you can try, we found out that very hyper-focused campaigns work better than more general focus. Or, focusing campaigns on a very specific persona generated much better results than a campaign that was a little bit more broad. And so you can start actually learning from all of these the campaigns that you're running and your strategies, and actually start playing around with how you execute. Today, so many companies are just bogged down by trying to execute a campaign. They never get to that higher level. They never get to explore and think about all the different creative ways they can try and attract customers.
Yep. Chris, I want to address a handful of other questions I've seen. How does this integrate with sales engagement solution? How does this integrate with your ABM tooling, whatever that may be? Well, actually, so yes, we have Salesforce and HubSpot integrations. So we highly recommend, again, that you use that system of record as the kind of a repository for a lot of the research to connect all of the execution work streams that you're going to have. And then we have direct integrations with Outreach and SalesLoft and Groove or whatever other sales engagement platform is out there. So from like when we're doing outbound copywriting, we can make sure that your sequences or cadences flows are automatically populated. And then from an ABM landing page, I think Nathan answered it in the chat, but well, if you use Webflow or WordPress or whatever, Adobe Pages, whatever it is, we'll work to understand what are the components of those landing pages and where do we need to populate the copy to make sure that it's fully integrated. Somebody else asked about the differentiation against something like Clay. Clay is awesome. Clay does a great job with a lot of enrichment type workflows and things like that. I think people come to Copy AI for a lot of the content creation, in addition to the enrichment kind of capabilities we have and research capabilities we have. It's a lot of the content generation that allows to close the gap between the insights that you get and the execution that you can do with AI. I think Copy AI helps with a lot of that. So there's overlap, as there is with a lot of other AI tooling, but we try and take a platform-based approach to allow for all the integrations. We try and make sure that there is as little change management as possible or as necessary. So you don't need to be a prompting engineer to get a lot of value out of Copy AI. And then we try and make sure that we are, again, closing that gap between the insights you get and the execution that you do across whatever channel it is. I think those are the main questions I saw, Chris. I don't know if you're scrolling through.
We have a few more, but I think we will address some of these shortly. So
Okay.
how about we dive into the demo, and I'm sure more questions will come out. Awesome. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of how we use Copy AI internally, right? And now this one's not fully in production because I didn't want to mess with it, but I can show you the general philosophy behind it. And so right now for enterprise customers, we have a new thing that's in private beta that's called tables. And tables is effectively a way where you can store a lot of the information and data that we generate. And then you can also send data from these tables back into Salesforce, into HubSpot, into Webflow, into WordPress. And so I'm going to follow the flow of our account intelligence as well as some of the ABM use cases that we have. So for example, oh, wow, I have to share a specific tab, my bad. Here are the tables. I'm going to now show you the actual workflow that we use for account intelligence. So this started by us understanding, like, who do we sell to? What matters for a company when they want to purchase Copy AI? And so the input is just a company's URL. That's a pretty unique identifier that gives you a great starting point to start researching a company. And so we have platinum actions. These are special actions using multiple data sources to try and answer questions that can help you go and analyze job openings. If it's a public company, you can analyze their latest earnings calls. These are straight up information from the C-level executives who are talking about their business and how they want to invest in the future, right? Invest in growth or invest in whatever areas that matter to them. So it's a great, great source of information. We can also pull out recent company news, and we can even research the top trends in an industry. That's really helpful because it gives a lot of contextual information about what's going on, right? And I believe Kyle added this thing which says, hey, like add 2 shocking statistics because you can really capture someone's attention with those. Finally, we have some things that are a little bit more custom to us. When you have a lot of products, a lot of solutions, we actually tend to do better because it's hard for reps to keep 20 products and solutions in mind when they're trying to pitch someone versus if you only have one. So it's like, how many products do they have? We can research the industries. Hey, what industries are they serving? Each industry typically has a slightly different value prop. The personas typically have a slightly different jobs to be done depending on the industry. And so the companies that serve more industries typically need our solution a bit more as well. We can also research how competitive of a market is it, right? If you're in a really, really competitive market, that speed of execution is a huge differentiator. If it takes you 1 week to launch a campaign and it takes your competitor 3 months to launch a campaign, you can run 5, 10 times as many campaigns as they can, right? And so that's a huge, huge advantage. So how competitive is a market? Finally, some of this data enrichment we do really matters on, when they want to start their fiscal year. So when are they doing planning? When are they starting to immediately, you know, have their SDR start attacking these accounts? By understanding that, it gives you a good timeline of when you should be reaching out, or, I guess I should say, to their revenue operations teams, to their sales leadership teams with the messaging, hey, preparing for your next fiscal year, we can help. Right. So we want to hit them at the right moment at the right time. You can see we also research other things like what are two large competitors of theirs that we can use in messaging. What's their average contract value? If their average contract value is too small, it might not make sense. But if it's it's like, $200,000, $300,000, that extra research, anything that can increase the probability of closing that deal is extremely valuable. And then one really cool one is our website research agent. So this is an agent that browses a website. For us, any company that runs webinars is a great sign because these webinars are typically for, larger companies. They typically mean that they are targeting specific type of companies and they run lots of campaigns. So we can actually go and research, hey, what are the recent, titles and dates of recent webinars by the company and how often do they run them, right? And then finally, one of our other sales reps is like, hey, I'd like to talk about who invested in their company. Can you research their investors? And we can add that in as well. We take all of that information and then we synthesize an account plan. So you can see here are the questions that we ask to try and understand, is this a good company to reach out to? And then what's this information that would help us really be able to focus on our value prop to market to this company? And then here is the sales angles. So you can actually take that account plan and actually generate real sales angles to focus. Now, what does that actually look like? So let me take you into our account research data silo. As you can see, we ran this 1,000 times. There's 1,000 unique companies in here, and we were able to do this in under, I think, 2 hours. Basically for every single account, we did all of that research to create the account plans, to create the sales angles, and be able to do some deep thinking. Now, the next step to this, typically before the quarter begins, is let's go and find your perfect personas at each of these accounts, and then do the exact same thing. So here for contact intelligence, we're doing the exact same thing. You'll see I ran it for only one company here, but we're able to pull out a lot of information, like who are they, what's their title,
Chris, I still see the workflow.
What's up?
I still see the workflow. I don't see the.
Oh no, I am so sorry. Let me try to share it again. Yeah, this thing,
There
I
it
have to
is.
share each individual tab. My bad. So here's the account research. We'll rewind 5 minutes. And you can see we have 1,000 rows in here, and we're generating all these account plans and doing all of that deep research for every single account. And then, so the next one was the contact intelligence. I'm going to make sure to share this tab. Here you can see we're actually researching each person and identifying what's their title, where have they worked, what are the job responsibilities, and we can create a contact plan in a very similar vein to understand who they are, what they might care about, so then we can market and message them in a better way. And over here, for a little bit further, you can see, hey, we identify that they run webinars. This is more of a content persona. We can write an email sequence that's really personalized specifically to them. And we can really immediately save this back into Salesforce, into Outreach, into whatever system you use. Now, this is great and all, but how do we take this to the next level? Right? I show you an example of using the account intelligence to now create landing pages. So we have a landing page, and you can see we have all the components. We have a title, we have a slug, and we're using that exact account intelligence information to be able to generate a really personalized landing page for this specific company. Now, this is an asset that you can send via email. You can run ads to, and really focus on ABM and account-based marketing. Try to get the attention of this specific account. This play works really well when you have a large, contract value, when you're trying to land 50, 60, 70, if not 200K deals, right? Because then you can actually spend that extra effort to really make sure you're speaking to the right customers, right companies with the right way, and try and get them to book a meeting. However, it doesn't end there, right? For each of these, the contact intel, we can also utilize it for other things. So, for example, we have the market Flywheel, webinar. We basically were able to just paste in what is this campaign about, and then go through all the contacts and identify who might be a good fit for us to invite. And not at, but we can invite them now with a personalized email. So, hey, you guys had a recent webinar. We're doing a webinar as well. Thought you might find this interesting. Love how you're optimizing the customer journey. Here's how we can take your initiatives further. You can see this is extremely, extremely powerful, that we can do to utilize the same data silos and then continue to engage with every single account. It doesn't always have to be webinars. It could be a new piece of content, a new case study. But what the AI is going to be able to help you do is identify who is the right people to send that to at the right moment, at the right time. That was a lot. Any questions?
We've been answering them in real time. Chris, people are asking about it. How customizable are those workflows? Can I control the information that comes back? How do you think about the customization and kind of the way that we can reflect everybody's nuance or bespoke approach to building these sorts of workflows?
Love it. Makes sense. I see there's a few questions that have not been answered. So Braden asked, what is the accuracy of the data provided? So ultimately, pretty much every single one of our data silos returns the source of the information. So AI can hallucinate, right? That's a pretty well-known fact. However, when you give the AI a lot of context, it's it tends to hallucinate a lot less because it actually knows a lot more. And so we're able to actually, actually return, hey, we found this information from this website, from this job listing. And so your reps can actually go in and dive in deeper to actually see what is the exact thing that people have said. Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Jason asked for a screen share of one of our landing pages. Let me just show him real quick. So Chris was, and Jax, if you could change the view on this. So Chris was showing like the text-based table view of here's our H1, and here's the slug that's happening here in the subject line, and here's the body. So all these would be columns in that sheet that Chris was showing, the table that Chris was showing. And then here's the information about this strategic initiative that we're trying to support of theirs for global expansion. So here's what one of our landing pages looks like as an example. Cool. All right. The important thing here, and what we've been trying to emphasize, is the fact that this should be a living, breathing sort of way that you execute. This should not just be something that you determine once and then you're like, all right, we did our account research, our work here is done. Of course not. Like, you learn more about the account, you learn more about what's really top of mind for executives, what's actually going to help get a business case created for your solution. You learn that as conversations go. And so the usefulness of what Chris is showing, that table view, and then that connection to the execution, is that it's amorphous. It can change. And so when you learn more about accounts, it's very easy to rerun the workflows and create a different landing page that has new, updated information about whatever you learned on the most recent call that you had, or the demo that you gave, or the interaction you had at a trade show, or whatever it is. You can take all that information and you can automate the execution that exists on top of it. Andrew asked, how do I add the conversations? So Andrew, I assume you're talking about like Gong transcripts or Chorus transcripts or something like that. See if he answers me in the chat. Let's just assume that's what he means. And Chris, you want to speak to that integration that we have?
Yes. Sorry, I was answering another question in the Q&A, so I have to get back real quick. Yeah, existing or net new. So we can actually do both. We're able to help companies who have a lot of business. So let's say you landed with one product, but you have 50 more to sell, but these other 50 might be to different personas. You can see how this exact same pattern can help you identify those other personas, understand the context of, hey, we already sold to this team. Now you can generate messaging for, selling this new product to a new team, right? And that's a lot warmer. It's really powerful for expansion. And we've been running it ourselves. So typically for us, someone will either buy the marketing side or the sales side. And then we'll be like, wait a second, by the way, did you know that this works better once you add in the marketing side? So if we landed on the sales side, we can show the account research and be like, hey, this account research can help you create marketing materials and landing pages, and it's all done for you, right? It's like, wow, that's so easy. That's so fast. If we land on the marketing side, we can do the exact same thing. Let us help you run your ABM campaigns. Now we can tell the sales side, hey, did you want to like automatically personalize your messages using the same exact research that your marketers are using? And that's a really, really powerful thing.
100%. And so the way that this works, that we bring in this new information from, let's just say, sales call transcripts, whether you use Zapier or use a direct integration with one of the providers, either way works. But we have it set up to listen to every single gong call that we have, and then give us the deal insights, the gaps, the strategies, et cetera. But the other thing that we have AI workflows trained against is we have it creating content that may be useful for our sales reps. And so we have a workflow set up that is going to take the information. I'm going to make this a little bigger. That's going to take the information from a sales transcript and then write an article, how to streamline enterprise. It's going to write an article based on the use case that was presented in that live session. So now the sales rep has this content around the use case that they discussed, the long form content that they can use back when they're engaging a broader buying group, or if they want to do a double click into this use follow-up piece of content that they can send to the people that they're engaging with. So it's about making sure that you're leveraging all of this data. And I use this phrase really intentionally, like data being the unstructured data from sales calls, the unstructured data that lives inside your CRM, the structured data that lives inside your CRM, making sure that it's all connected and that you're providing a really world-class buying experience, and that you're making sure that every single touch point that you give to every member of the buying group is as contextualized as possible, and therefore hopefully will resonate as much as possible. Hope that was helpful. Any other questions you're seeing, Chris?
We are in the trucking and transport business. How can we use this on our marketing efforts? Great question. So some of the older logistics companies are actually using us for a very similar reason. The same principles apply, right? It's like, okay, you have customers out there somewhere. Certain customers are a good fit. How do you find who they are? And then how do you share why they should use you, right? That's like the very basics. And so we actually are helping some of these logistics companies who say, oh, there's only about 2,000 companies in our market. How do we utilize this? So what we're doing for them is we're constantly monitoring these same companies and looking for the signals of when you should reach out, why you should reach out, and really be able to personalize it so you can actually connect your value prop to that company and their goals. Now, I'm not sure how big your trucking or brokerage business is. That can, vary, but ultimately, this is a way for you to create a network so then you can actually build real relationships, and that's going to lead to more business down the line. Someone asked, where can we find the HubSpot integration? Great question. So for us, an integration actually is part of these triggers and actions. So triggers is what triggers a workflow, and then actions are things that you can do inside of the workflow to accomplish something. For HubSpot, we have some triggers. These triggers include things like when a new, I believe the term is company is created, when a new contact is created, or when a new, I think, deal is created, you can actually trigger a workflow, or when the stage changes, or whatever you can imagine, right? And then that can trigger a workflow that actually then runs an account research, and then there's an action that will actually save the information back to a HubSpot record. And so some of our HubSpot users have used us to use that as the enrichment part, as well as creating some messages that pushes it back into the HubSpot CRM, which then gets connected to HubSpot's email sales engagement platform, and then they can send the emails out that way. So it is all there. However, we are in the middle of building some better guides on how to really utilize it.
Nice. Love it. Trying to scroll up.
Brandon asks, do the landing pages get hosted on our company WordPress website, or is it through Copy.ai? Great question. That is all. It's going to be hosted on your own website. right? We don't really want to be in the business of hosting your websites. However, we're able to push the data wherever you need it. That's the thing that's really blocking, right? If someone came to you today, hey, create 10 web pages, how many can you create in one day? I could try really hard. And even using ChatGPT, I probably can only create a few. However, once you've codified the process, and by codifying the process, I mean really, implementing and showing the AI good examples of what great looks like, you can actually now create unlimited landing pages. All you have to do is put in a new company, do the research, and then you can immediately, generate a landing page as well.
Cool. Is there anything else left unaddressed? I think we've done a pretty good job with the Q&A, Chris.
Yeah, lots of questions. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good one from Taylor. What questions do you recommend asking internally to help IT and executives understand the need for a change like this? That's a really good question, Taylor. It's not an easy answer, but what we're seeing the business case for a solution like ours built around is all about improving customer acquisition cost, improving the lifetime value metrics, improving ultimately like every single conversion rate that you have across however you think about your funnel. So if that is, what is your web to lead conversion rate? What is the win rate that you have against accounts? How much pipeline are you generating per rep? Like all of these metrics are efficiency and productivity metrics that we can help with. And that all helps ladder into what is your customer acquisition cost and what is the lifetime value of those customers. And we almost always are building a business case against those things because that's what executives care about. And so to sort of diagnose that, you can start to understand how much money are we spending on all of the sales and marketing, and how much is that bringing in from a pipeline standpoint? What is the ratio that we have of sales development reps to account executives? And is there a way that we could increase that ratio? So if today an SDR is supporting 2 reps, can we get to a world where they support 3 reps? And how is that going to help with the efficiency of our business? So it's all those types of efficiency and productivity questions that ultimately have a major impact on your bottom line, how much pipeline you create, how much revenue you create, and the efficiency that you create it with. So it depends on your business, but we're almost always trying to attach to those metrics because that's what matters most to execs. Okay. I think that's about it. Any closing thoughts, Chris, from you?
Yeah, I've got a few. I wanted to shout out the team here, Jacqueline and Nathan. For those of you who don't know, they're some of the wizards behind the scenes. Kyle calls Nathan an actual wizard. That ebook that you saw, a lot of it was Nathan helping create it. And that's on top of his full time day job of creating one blog post a day, running a podcast, and so much more. And what enables him to do that? It's because he was able to codify a lot of these processes. I have one magical story myself, which was, I think, about a week ago. I went to Nathan. I'm like, hey, I need a blog post about this. And I sent him an audio recording of, what I was describing. Within 30 minutes, he returned to me a fully written, published blog that read incredibly well. I was astounded. And I thought that was a perfect example of go-to-market velocity. I've never been at a company where I've been able to get a blog, a full-on, well-researched, well-written blog, back so quickly. And so that's just a testament to what is all possible. I think, when did you guys start writing the ebook, by the way?
It was probably 3 months ago.
3 months ago, and you got an entire book. That is very, very impressive. So very exciting stuff. This is the future. And I know it's a lot to take in. It can feel a little overwhelming. What I will ask people, though, is to try to think at a higher level. Don't try to think of, oh, how can this solve my problem today? How can this solve your problem across the board? It's hard, but that's actually what's really creative. And that's going to be the human job in the future, about thinking in systems, thinking in how to apply this so that it doesn't only solve your problems today, but solves it forever down the line.
It's really well said. Really well said. Well, thank you, everybody. I hope that was useful. Hopefully, you got to see how a lot of these previously siloed components of your go-to-market engine can and should be interconnected, interwoven, and hopefully creating this virtuous cycle and a continuous improvement. That's what we're going for. So thank you for the time. We really appreciate it. For those of you who raised your hand and said you want a deeper dive, we'll be in touch with you very soon. Thanks so much, everybody.